welcome to Reads and Threads. My name's Kate. Hello if you're new here, welcome back if you're joining us again. Today I thought we would go over some of my favourite reads from 2025. I have picked out 10-ish of my favourite books that I have gotten to that I absolutely loved and just thought I would share them with you, see if we've got any that are the same, any that you didn't like that I loved, any the other way around that I haven't mentioned that you just think were awesome. Please let me know. I would love to add some more reads onto my TBR if they're not already there. But let's get into it. We'll go through what my top 10 reads of 2025 were. I think we'll go through these in the order that I read them. There isn't necessarily one, I don't think, that I would say was an overall standout. I gave pretty much all of these books 5 stars. Some are like 4 to 4.5, and then there is a couple that are series that I just can't stop thinking about, really enjoyed in the moment, and just really loved my time in the world that we were reading. There are a few that I don't own that I still am planning to get my hands on, and I just think I would love to have on my shelf going forward. If they were the first in a series, then being able to continue on with the rest of the series and have that copy of that book just on my shelf so that I can reread it, because that is one of the things that I find with any of my 5-star reads. They are books that I want to continually reread, ones that I think I will get something out of as I go through them again that I didn't necessarily get the first time, or I might have missed, or just be with those characters again. I think I started the year off pretty strong. I held out on reading this series for so long. I had heard all the hype for the first book and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going near a series that isn't out. We don't know how many there are going to be, when they are going to come out. But my sister badgered me continuously for a fairly lengthy period of time before I finally caved. And at the end of 2024, I flew through the first 2 books in this series in perfect time for the 3rd book to come out, and that of course was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I have listened to all of the books in this series as I've read them. This one was no different. I picked this up on release day. I even cancelled a pre-order on Audible that morning because I wasn't going to get it as quickly as I wanted it. And it didn't disappoint. I absolutely loved it. I flew through it. Broccoli, so cute. And Dana, oh my God, and Ten, and just everything that has happened. And then the questions that it has raised and what is going to happen in the rest of this series is just, it's spectacular. I've had such a great time listening to these, talking to my sister and my niece about them, and just absolutely loving everything that there is about this series. I will hear no wrong about it. It's a good time. It is just so fun. I really enjoyed what happened in this one, and I was devastated in points and just slightly worried as to what is going to happen in the future. And yeah, their relationship, I could see possibly getting a little much, but it'll be interesting to see where she takes them in the upcoming books. It's so good, and I love the editions that I have managed to get my hands on. I have the NZ versions and what are these ones called? I've forgotten off the top of my head. Anyway, and these editions that I got from Barnes & Noble in America. Loving the dragons, the world, and then we were even talking the other day about what colour dragon we would want if we were picking the dragons. It's been a really good bonding experience, both with my family and just enjoyment levels of listening to it. The audio are done really well. I don't like a dramatized audio. I did try and listen to that, and just the sound of them breathing and then all the background music and that kind of thing, it didn't work for me, but I really did like just the general audiobook. I thought the narrator does it really well, and then having like Xaden's chapters at the end as well were really interesting. Just, yeah, super intrigued what's going to happen coming, but really, really loved my time with this one. The next one we're going to talk about is more than one. It's an entire quadrilogy. And this put me on to who has now become one of my new favorite authors. So in May, at the end of May, I was going to Babe in Sydney, so a book author event, and I had heard that Helen Shearer was going to be there, and I had heard really good things about her Legends of Thesma series. That wasn't the series I picked up first. I actually went back to her original books. I thought I'd gotten her earliest ones, and I hadn't. I rectified that later in the year. But I did start with her Cyren Queen series, and I went on to pre-order physical copies of these through Babe, through Helen, and then they all came signed, and I actually got to meet Helen, which I absolutely loved. I thought Babe was a great experience. She was lovely, her husband was lovely, and it was just so cool. I will insert a picture up here of me meeting her at Babe, but I absolutely loved it. And I love this series. It is a teen series, and I just ate it up. I thought the characters were really interesting. The travel was good. I enjoyed my time in every single book. There wasn't one that I disliked at all. I read all of the extra little novellas that you can get off of Helen's website. They will download, and I think I got an audio version of it as well. Again, I listened to all of these, but I have the physical copies, and I do plan on delving into and physically reading these again at some point. I thought that this was just such a unique world and experience. I'd never, I don't think, read a book about sirens before, and I just really loved all the things that happened. I loved our main character and just the image of the world and the description, and I just think it sounded so cool how they were capturing humans, and the realization that she is an orphan technically, even though her mother is being imprisoned, and her coming to realize more about herself and what she's capable of as she goes through these queen trials to try and actually become the next Cyren Queen. It was just so good, and these covers are spectacular. I absolutely love them. Like, just look at the detail on them. I love the editions that I got. I did just pick up the paperback ones in the end, and I'm not disappointed. These are some hefty books, but I ate these up, cannot recommend enough. I then did go on to read Helen's other quadrilogy, I think it is, as well. Yeah, the Oromir. I prefer this one, although I thought Oromir was very good as well. And I cannot wait this year in 2026 to finally read The Legends of Thesma and The Ashes of Thesma, and pick up any book that I can get my hands on by Helen, because she has fast become one of my favorite authors. And I love that she is Australian/New Zealand. I think she lives in New Zealand but is Australian, and that I got to meet her. It was just so great. If you haven't tried Helen out and you prefer a great story with not as much spice as I've heard is in Legends of Thesma, I would definitely recommend the audios for this, and then if you can, get your hands on physical copies as well. Love, love, love. We then moved on in July to a book that I managed to get my hands on a Fairy Loot edition of before I was part of the Fairy Loot subscription. I will not regret ever how much I paid for this book. It was a lot of money, and I absolutely love it. It is my favorite book I own on my shelves, and it has just become everything. It literally has become everything to me. It's the perfect color combination. It's just gorgeous, and that is Rachel Gillig's The Knight and the Moth. So this is the Fairy Loot edition, which I have showed off numerous times, but even the story inside. So when I read this originally, I gave it a 4-star. I was like, oh, it was good. I really enjoyed it. Loved my time, loved the edition, loved the setup. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was that high 5-tier star for me, but I have not ever stopped thinking about this book. And so I have, even when I was getting these books out originally, to put together a list of the books I might want to talk about, I raised it up then to a 4.5. And the more I think about it, the more it probably is actually just a 5-star. It is highly entertaining. The world building is amazing. We follow a diviner. So Sybil, our main character, is one of 6 diviners, and she goes on a quest throughout the world to find what's happened to her sisters. And she goes around with Roderick, who is a knight of the king, and he is only a new king. And he has come, when they meet for the first time, to get a divination. And for these girls to actually see the future, they pretty much are drowned in a small body of water, which is interesting and very traumatizing for her. But she's grown up with these 6 girls her whole life. They're there from their being 10 years old, and they have 10 years of service, and they're reaching the end of that service period. And then all of a sudden, the rest of her sisters start going missing, and she's like, what the hell? And we follow her throughout the world as she tries to figure out what has happened to her sisters. And the romance between her and Roderick was really good. I really enjoyed it. But the gargoyle was by far my favorite character in this book. It was devastatingly emotional. The romance was slow burn, which was awesome. I just absolutely love my time in this world, and I cannot wait for the next one. I think I'm going to be counting down till September when The Knave and the Moon comes out, and the cover reveal for the second one was gorgeous. This actually has the original cover on the back of this one as well, so I could swap it out if I ever wanted to, but I find this cover spectacular. So hoping that I'll be able to get my hands on a fairy loot version of the second one to match this. And just September could not come quick enough, in my opinion, right now. I need to know what happens. So I think this is definitely on reflection, but just way up. It's just worked a place in my heart that I am constantly just thinking about it. So I will definitely be rereading this multiple times, probably over. I really enjoyed my time while I was reading it. And if you haven't picked this up or any other of Rachel's works, I would highly recommend her as an author. Again, you'll find out a little bit later, she has become one of my favorite authors as well. So I'm so happy with the amount of new authors that I try this year that have become some of my favorites to look out for. Read this. August leading into September, and September was probably undoubtedly my best reading month with the amount of good books that I was reading. But at the very beginning of September and the end of August, I started a new book that has taken BookTube by storm, and that was Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinnerman. And it was an epic adventure. It was so unique and such an awesome world. It's a lit RPG, if you don't know. We follow Carl, who goes outside in his boxer shorts and Crocs to rescue his ex-girlfriend's cat, who has jumped out the window. And while they are outside, Earth is invaded by aliens, and everyone inside pretty much is decimated, and everyone outside is given the opportunity to enter the dungeon and compete as a dungeon crawler. And they have to get down to at least level 10, I think it is, before they have the opportunity to become free or even allowed to survive as a citizen within this new world. But the level of thought and just imagination that has gone into this world and creating what is happening is just, it's amazing. I am so hooked. I am currently, as I film this, listening to book 7, maybe 6, 7. I don't know. I can't stop. They're so good. I am slotting them in as audio whenever I can. If I have wait for an audio that's on my TBR, I'm popping in one of these over the top of my actual TBR. And I'm just having such a great time, to the point where I'm even considering naming my next cat Princess Donut. Princess Donut is the Persian cat that Carl tries to rescue, who then, when she goes down to the dungeon, has the ability turned on that she can talk. So we now have a talking Persian cat, and she is so funny. And she ends up with a pet dinosaur called Mongo, who is just so cool as well. The whole thing is so much fun, and it's so different. It is literally like you're playing a video game, but in a book. And the audio is done so well. Jeff Hayes, his ability to change his voice to do all of those characters, the AI, Carl, Princess Donut, it's just done so well. They are very well put together audios. If you haven't listened to them, I would highly recommend. But even just the books, and this is a series that I don't have a physical versions of yet, but I am in great need of. I need to get my hands on physical versions. The trouble is, when I've been looking at them, they are some now produced by Ace and some are coming out by Michael Joseph, I think it is. But I want to make sure I get all the same for each one. And yeah, I can't wait to have trophy books that I can reread again. Like I said, I am really loving the audio, but I would like to try reading these physically at some point as well, because I think there is probably a lot of intricate information that I have missed, but they're so good. If you haven't picked it up, if you're intimidated by the lit RPG or the size that the books end up getting, don't let that deter you. Just give it a go. I have recommended this, and I know a lot of my friends have, to so many people who have picked them up at work, and they're just such a great time. Highly recommend. I think I'm just going to be gushing over every single book that we talk about, but such a great time in Dungeon Crawl Cow. I haven't actually rated any of these ones 5 stars. They've ranged from 4 to 4.5, but again, maybe they probably are, because I can't stop thinking about them. I can't stop talking about them. And I am using every opportunity possible to actually listen to them. So that's probably a 5 star. But either way, get on it. They're so good. In September, I had a month off, so I had a lot more time to read, and I participated in the Readathon Rebellion put on by Mel from Mel Lenore Reads, and it gave me the opportunity to pick up some books that I wanted to read for a long time but hadn't gotten around to. The first of which was The Serpent and the Wings of the Night by Carissa Broadbent. I flew through this book. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. I think it only took me a couple of days to actually read it, and I read this one physically. I absolutely loved Rain and Araya and the trials, the whole setup. It's such an interesting world where you have the factions for the vampires that are going in again to compete for a god's blessing. And Araya is a human who has been raised by vampires, and in the hopes of being safe and having the ability to have some kind of power, she's trying to win this trial to get a god's blessing so that she can become her father's second in command. And then she can hopefully investigate what happened to her family, who were all killed. And so she doesn't know anything that has actually happened to her. She then teams up with Rain, who is from a rival faction, as they go through these trials. And it's just a really good time. I am super intrigued to continue on. I did, in this same month, read the little novella that comes between this and the next book, which was 6 Scotch Roses. I had a great time with that one as well. However, it was about different people. So now I have no idea why I needed to read the little novella before I read Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. But I am hoping to find out extremely soon. I am super eager to know what is going to happen, and I have had it on my list multiple times to actually pick up and just haven't been able to. So very early on in this year, in 2026, I will be continuing on with the Nightborn duet and hopefully enjoying the second book in the duology just as much as the first one. It was such a good time. Again, I absolutely love the edition that I have in my hands. Especially the naked hardcover. I think I show this off every time I get this book off of my shelves, but it is so pretty. Like, what they have done with the naked hardcovers is just spectacular. And yeah, again, another new author for me that I hadn't tried before, who I really enjoyed. I'm super eager to get to her other series as well, The Daughter of No Worlds. But if you haven't tried Carissa, definitely recommend picking her up and giving her a go. And definitely wasn't disappointed with this book. It was such a good time. So interesting. I loved the setup and can't wait to see what happens. I then picked up another Rachel Gillick. I was super eager after reading The Night and the Moth to see what Rachel's first duology was like. So I picked up One Dark Window and it did not disappoint. This was such a good time. It was such a unique magic system. So in this one, we are following Elspeth, and in this world, having magic is not a good place to be. The king has outlawed it. He rounds up anyone who even has the potential to have it, and it's not a good way to go. So Elspeth has been hiding in plain sight. She got sick as a child and is hiding the fact that she can see the colors of tarot cards. In this world, their magic is in the form of cards that allow the user different abilities. There's like 13 different cards, and to actually free the town of a deadly fog, they need to acquire a full deck of cards and then have a ceremony. One of the things that Elspeth is inflicted with is the fact that she has a nightmare living in her head. So she can talk to the nightmare and he can potentially take control of her body, or wants to. And yeah, it's such an interesting setup and so intriguing. And it was just a unique setting. I didn't enjoy the next book as much, so Two Twisted Crowns, but I just thought overall, this is a very well-paced duology. I find with some duologies that they feel like the end is sped up too fast. I didn't find that in this one. I thought that the ending worked perfectly for the beginning of this story and the development of the characters. It didn't feel rushed. It just was an extremely well-paced duology. This is a gothic fantasy and it has those kind of dark gothic vibes to the whole thing. I think the characters were really interesting, and then like I said, the cards and the magic system were so unique, and again, something I'd never read before. I really enjoyed my time with this. Again, I flew through them. I did give One Dark Window 5 stars, and I gave Two Twisted Crowns, I think, a 4. I just found that the journeying in that one wasn't as good. I definitely highly recommend. Such a great way to go. Love the versions of this I got. I do have special editions of them just up there as well. Such a good time. Really enjoy it. And this in total with those 3 books has definitely made Rachel one of my favorite authors. Then have the last book that I own physically of these 10 that we're going to be talking about, and that was Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book in the Nevermore series. This is a middle grade series that is just such a good time. I generally consume these by audio, though I do have these hardback editions that I picked up when I went to see Jessica talk for the launch of Silverborn, and she was so good to listen to, so funny. It did take her a fair few years to get this edition out, and I'm hoping that the next installments in the series will be a little bit quicker, because I had forgotten a little bit of what had happened in the first 3. So really I should have reread the first 3 before I tackled this one. But I did manage to pick up pretty quickly what was going on, and I did find that I didn't lose any of my enjoyment necessarily, not remembering exactly what had happened in the last ones. I just had a bit of trouble with her friends and remembering who all they were. But again, we're following Morrigan as she attempts to uncover a mystery in this one. So it's like a murder mystery, something's going on, and her and her friends are trying to discover who is behind all of the issues that they are facing. The magic system is such a fun time. Nevermore as a town is just so interesting. And Morrigan is starting to come into her powers a bit more. Seeing how that affects her relationship with Jupiter was really interesting as well. Plus, she has some big discoveries in this one about her past and who she is and her family, which was really interesting. I'm super eager to see what happens. This series overall is going to be like 7 books. And like I said, we're already on book 4. So hopefully we can get some more installments fairly soon, because I would really like to continue. When I first picked them up, I did try and read Nevermore physically, and I couldn't get into it physically, and try the audio, and it changed so much for me. So if you have tried this physically and you're just like, oh, I don't know, maybe give the audio a go, because it really did help me, and I absolutely eat it up now. I love this world. It's so whimsical, such a good time. and highly recommend. Jessica's imagination and the stuff that she comes up with is just insane, mind-blowing, and I absolutely love everything about it. So that was the end of my awesome September reads, and we'll move on now to October, where I was highly surprised by the next book that is on this list, and that was For Whom the Belle Tolls by J.C. Lynn. I went into this thinking I was going to be reading a sapphic romance. I didn't look into this enough to know what I was getting myself into, and instead I have forayed into my first monster romance. So in this, we're following Lily. Now, she is only in her 30s when she passes away and goes to the afterlife. And there she gets to stay and go to her paradise, which turns out to be her old home. And it has a library in it where she can just curl up with a good book. And it has her past cat who joins her there, which for me, I absolutely love the idea that could be a possibility. I just thought it was so cute. And then this house just magically pretty much gives her anything she could hope for. It has all of her favorite reads, all that kind of stuff. She, however, starts to get a little bored and starts to explore hell, where she meets a whole heap of demons, one of which is Belle, who is our male main character. And to say that we have a slow burn, it was great. There was just so much time for her to interact, for them both to interact with all the other characters. We see different sides of all of your main characters from, like, I guess, Bible, mythology, all of that kind of stuff, all in the afterlife together. It was extremely interesting. And Lily as a character, she's just sassy, no holds barred. She ends up setting up the Hell Desk, where she goes down to help them process all the souls through hell, half of which don't think that they should actually be there. And hell isn't just a place for torment and torture. It is actually kind of like staged therapy to help these souls deal with what has happened to them and what they have done, or just their life, so that they can work towards being okay to go back and earn the chance to try again. So souls can decide sometimes if they do want to go back and try life again, or if they want to stay in wherever they are when they actually eventually make it to possibly paradise. Or there is also a heaven as well, which is moved on from paradise. So it was such an interesting take. And then there is this idea that Belle is a demon. And so she's a human person falling in love with a demon. And then all of that. There is some obviously past trauma that Lily has to work through a little bit. She has always wanted kids, never had the opportunity to have kids. Once she gets to the afterlife, she can remember a few of her other lives as well, where she's tried, and just dealing with all of that. But it was such a good time. This is a 600-page book, so it is not a small undertaking. I listened to this audio and it was very well done. We have dual narrators, and to say Belle's voice is deep is an understatement. But it was so good. Like, it was quite shocking when he first came on and I heard his voice, but it was so good. It was such a fun time. And I can't wait for the next installment of this to find out what's going to happen. I just really enjoyed myself. It has those cozy vibes a bit, but then with a bit of demon romance thrown in as well. So highly recommend if you haven't checked it out. Give it a go and recommend the audio. I am looking for a very nice edition of this to go on my shelves, hopefully, and hopefully reread again before the next one comes out. I tell you, I'm having no end of problems with my Wi-Fi. It's not working at all at the moment, so hopefully you at some point see this video. I feel like I can get it back, but my 5G as well is just crap. Like, I have no idea what's going on. In my own house, it is barely sending text messages. I can't watch anything on my TV. Like, what the hell? Anyway, we then moved on to Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I was a little hesitant going into this. My sister and a friend at work had both listened to this and enjoyed it, though didn't like as much the male voice, or like whoever was putting it on, the voice that they were getting. I was also a little hesitant knowing that Devney Perry was mainly a contemporary romance author, or a romance author in general. And I was worried that this book was going to be too romance heavy for me, that it wasn't going to be a good fantasy world, and that I wouldn't get there. But I am so glad to say that I was beyond wrong. In this, we follow Odessa, who is the oldest of 2 daughters for the king. And she has been fairly overlooked for her younger sister, who has been training her whole life to be the Sparrow, the daughter that is going to get married off to the prince of the neighboring kingdom as kind of part of the Shield of Sparrows. So it's a treaty between all of the different kingdoms to keep peace, and they need this treaty to keep the peace so that they can fight together to survive the Crux, which is a migration of very scary sounding monsters that come every little while and decimate the land, as well as other monsters that are raging throughout the lands as well. But the Crux is the big one, is the big bad. So when the neighboring kingdom's prince and the guardian finally arrive, they have, it turns out, defeated 7 female monsters, which allows them the ability to claim a bride prize. And they decide that instead of the younger daughter, they actually want the older one. She has had no training, no skills other than just to be herself. She's thrust into a political nightmare, pretty much. Her father, the king, is trying to overthrow this neighboring kingdom. He wants information about where their secret capital is hidden, but he also wants her to assassinate the guardian as soon as possible. And to say that things go not so well probably would be an understatement. She has to journey to an unknown land. She takes with her a couple of handmaidens, but also has to get to know her new husband, as well as spending all this time with a guardian who she doesn't really like. He is this epic warrior. As far as she knows, he is responsible for the deaths of family members of other people that she knows. So she's just heard awful things about where she's heading. So it is an intriguing story. It's just very well paced. I liked how slow burn the romance that we get in this was. I liked the banter that we had between her and the other characters, specifically the Guardian. I think Odessa and the Guardian's interactions were so good. There were some twists that I didn't see coming, which I absolutely loved. I am just super eager for April when Rites of the Starling comes out and we can find out what actually happens. I am just so excited. I flew through this. I enjoyed my time with it so much. If you haven't picked it up and given it a go, one, because of the size, or you're worried like I was that it might be too romance heavy, I thought the level of romance in this was great, and I thought the lead up was exceptional, and I just can't wait to see what happens. And considering how we ended, I think it's going to be good. The next book, the last book on this list, is none other than Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. I absolutely ate this book up. I listened to this whole thing in a day. I managed to watch the entire series and did consider actually reading the first book in the series. After watching the TV show, I was like, oh, do I start with the first book or do I just read Heated Rivalry? And I'm so glad that I did just read Heated Rivalry. Not to say that the first book wouldn't be great, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But after watching the series, I just wanted to see how closely the book related to the TV show. I ate the TV show up. I ate this book up. It was so good. Shane and Ilya, their interactions were so fun and heartbreaking at the same time with what happens. And it was so well done. Both the TV show, if you haven't checked that out, really enjoyed it. And then the book. The banter was the same. The interactions were just as good. They kept it so close to the book, the TV show. I think they did a great job. And I loved it so much. I have never, I don't think, read an entire book in a day like that. This was I think it's over 300 pages, and I just flew through it. I did not want to stop listening and just, couldn't put it down. If you have managed to miss what Heated Rivalries is actually about, we follow Shane and Ilya, that are professional hockey players in Canada who play for opposing teams. They meet in their rookie year, and one gets drafted in Ontario, I think, and then the other one ends up going to Boston. Either way, they're in rival teams, and they're kind of set up as rivals from the very beginning, from the press and all that kind of stuff. But they're attracted to each other, and they end up having what starts out to just be a sexual relationship, but obviously they start feeling feelings and they can't stop, even though they are technically meant to be rivals and enemies. And it's just so well done. It's so interesting, and you just feel all the feels and couldn't put it down. I had to know what was going to happen afterwards, so I used an Audible credit to get my hands on the long game, which is technically the 6th book in the series. So I've jumped from book 2 to book 6 and then flew through that one as well. I personally didn't enjoy the long game as much as Heated Rivalry. I found the long game Shane a little frustrating with how kind of insulated his thinking was. Like, he just was not realizing everything that Ilya had done. And I found that a little frustrating. But Heated Rivalry, their interactions, them getting together, them being a secret couple throughout the whole thing, and actually falling in love with each other, so good. Such a fun time. And now she's got Unrivaled coming, which I can't wait to read as well. And I think I will eventually go back and read the other books in the Game Changers series, but so glad that I did fit Heated Rivalry in, and I fit that and the long game in within like 2 to 3 days at the end of December, and loved every minute of it. I have watched the TV show multiple times now, and I do plan probably on reading those books again. I would love to have shelf copies of them. I thought they were so good. So I will plan on looking at doing that at some point soon as well. It's so good. It was such a good time. I really enjoyed it. And again, if you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend. Had such a good time. So this is it. Some of the ones that I actually own, which I love the fact that these are all on my shelf, that I can pick them up whenever I want to reread them and just appreciate them for how good they actually were. What were some of your best books of 2025? I'd love to know. Any that I could add to my TBR would be awesome. You can never have enough good reads. I don't really plan on doing like a worst of. I just want to focus on all my good reads. So this is the only one of this type of videos that I am planning on making. We may at some point, I am hoping to go through my series spreadsheet and look at all the series that I am in the middle of and that kind of thing. So that is something that will be coming up fairly soon. And then we can look at, while we're doing that, maybe some of the series that I managed to get to in 2025 or start and now need to look at in 2026. I had such a good time with all of these books that I have talked to you about today. And I love the fact that I managed to read as much as I did last year. It was an epic reading year for me. I have never read the amount of books that I did get to, and I can't wait to just get into more great books and more in these series. Like, there are some that I have only just started, and I cannot wait to pick up the next ones and continue on and find out what's going to happen. I hope you had a great reading year last year and that you are aiming to have this year be even better. Hopefully you can find some great reads, and hopefully I will find some of my new favorites. There are so many good books on their way out, and I'm looking forward to so many of them. I have linked down below my Goodreads, my Storygraph, and my Instagram. Please feel free to come over and follow me on any of those. If you'd like to talk more about books, see what I'm reading in real time, definitely come over and join me on those platforms. I hope that wherever you are really enjoying your reading and you are having a really wonderful day. And we'll see you next time. Bye.